Welcome, welcome everyone to the Sound Share for October 26th. And I am beyond delighted to have Narissa Young here as our special guest. And she has experience as a professional vocalist and sound healing, and also has certification in vibroacoustic therapy. If I've got that right, Narissa.
Yes, you did.
And I'm very excited to hear and learn a lot more about vibroacoustic therapy and find out how it serves people. And so, Narissa, can you maybe give a little bit more about your background, if you wish, and how you got into this whole field?
That is a story, all right. Well, I am a professional vocalist and musician for many, many years. And through COVID, I did a big plot twist. I had been doing some neighborhood performances with some jazz musicians that I know here on Vancouver Island. And I had actually started to study sound therapy in 2014 and don't remember how it came across my path. Um, I tried to think about it and I can't remember how it showed up, but it showed up. And so I picked up the studies after the summer of 2020 because I had seen once again how profound sound and music is and how important it is to connect communities. So I returned to Globe Institute online and completed their sound therapy associate degree, which ended up being over 700 hours. So real good deep dive. I really enjoyed the teachings, and then I took the certification for vibroacoustic therapy with Kate Kunkel and loved that and could see how profound that work could be even by itself. And so I've been in practice for almost 4 years. And fast forward to the beginning of this year, where I was able to purchase Kate's training business. So I have been leading the vibroacoustic certification training since the beginning of the year. I've trained over 50 therapists already this year. And it's been amazing, really wonderful to go deep into that modality and to see all the incredible work that's being done. Not only the variety of people that show up to study it, but the places in the world where it's being embraced, the equipment, which we can talk about a little bit later too. There's easily 4 times the amount of equipment now from 2 years ago, even. So it's really, really blooming. I think a big part of that is that it is such an easy adjunct to so many therapies.
Was it the participating in the Globe Institute that got you interested in the vibroacoustic therapy? So
It
that's where you
was.
first heard about it?
Yeah, David Gibson definitely spent some time teaching us a little bit about it during that program. And then another classmate of mine recommended Kate's program.
And I love how the universe refines our path to have us serve as many people as possible. How
Mm,
wonderful. Well,
yes,
can you tell us more about what vibroacoustic therapy is?
sure, I'd love to. So, vibroacoustic therapy is a low frequency applied directly to the body. So, that would be through a sound table or a sound lounge, a chair that's outfitted with transducers of some kind. There are mats, there are smaller portable items, and more of those coming on as time goes on. Um, and yeah, so the client will either sit or lay or hold the item for a period of about 20 to 25 minutes as an ideal kind of treatment length and experience targeted frequencies between 30 and 120 hertz. So it's still within the audible range, but it's felt as vibration to the body and very relaxing at the outset for sure. It does trigger the relaxation response before very long. I do have a lot of clients who fall asleep. That's very common, which is quite a nice compliment, I think. I always say snoring is a tip.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so very curious about the sound. What can you tell us about the sound? Is it music that's delivered to the table, or is it electronic sound? What can you tell us more about the music or the sound that's used? I'm really curious.
Yeah. So what I teach is what I consider the pillars of this work of vibroacoustic therapy. So that's called pure VAT. So these are single frequencies that are applied directly to the body. Now they're not just a steady tone; they're modulated in their amplitude, so they'll come and go, almost like an ocean wave, or like a low engine kind of rumble underneath you. Very very gentle, very soothing, and so they're usually in an MP3 or a wave format, and we have the files put together by an engineer, so they're not terribly complex when it comes to pure vat, but you also don't just want a steady wave going up and down either. You don't want to cause entrainment in the body. There are parts of the body that respond to one frequency that might not be good for another part of the body. So there's reasons for the random nature in the track formation. The music does not go through the table. In Pure VAT, it's only that one single frequency track. When you add music to this therapy, it's called something a little different. It's called vibroacoustic with music. Now that engages different systems in the body. That means that the person's probably wearing headphones, or they're laying on the table to receive the vibration where the transducers are, but they might have music or nature sounds or something in the room on a set of speakers. So there's an important distinction. Music doesn't naturally accompany pure VAT, except in certain circumstances. You've got someone with Alzheimer's, or someone with autism that might need some other sound to help them feel emotionally, calm. Usually, Pure VAT is on its own. It's a single frequency. It's a deep listening practice. I have practitioners who sometimes, when they start the certification, are surprised that when they first start experiencing the tracks, they say, "Is that's it? I'm just gonna lay there, no headphones, no flashing lights, no binaural beats, nothing else." Nope, nope, pure and simple, and that's the elegance of this therapy. When we talk about vibroacoustic with music, that's a lot of what's out there. So anybody who's encountering, equipment companies like Sage Space, In Harmony, Inner Solutions, Sound Oasis, Dr. Jeffrey Thompson, all of those are using music in their tracks. And in some cases, there will be sound bleeding into the table that is not in the vibroacoustic range. It depends on the transducers that they're using. And there are specific purposes for all of those. Um, there's what was called vibroacoustic harp therapy, which is a live instrument played through the table, and all the low frequencies are boosted.
I've
So
seen
can you
that one.
imagine, right? Mary
Oh
Stevens
my.
owns that company, and she does the training for that too. Um, can you imagine having a harpist, or a guitarist or a vocalist beside you, and having the equipment set up in such a way that what they're playing for you live is triggering those transducers to do the low frequency vibration? I mean, that's pretty special.
That is fascinating, and thank you so
Mhm.
much for clarifying for me
Yeah.
because I had heard about the music being delivered and through the table, I think, but not the single frequency. I find that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, I also want to ask you because you mentioned Alzheimer's and those with I think will probably stroke, but also are you finding that what can I say? What kind of people does this treatment serve best? Because I'm sure you have a lot of people who come for relaxation. Are there other symptoms or other conditions where this
Mhm.
kind of treatment can really help?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure, relaxation. And a word about that. Our society has classified relaxation as some sort of luxury item, and it's not. We
That's a no.
need we need to create space in our lives for relaxation, whatever that is for you. And is it reading a book? Is it going for some sort of session? Is it exercise? Is it whatever, right? You got to find what it is for you. And yeah, so a lot of people do come for a relaxation therapy, which is where I might use vibroacoustic with music, for example. Just depends. It depends what they're coming in for, how specific the symptoms are. Again, we can take a more targeted approach with Pure VAT than we can with vibroacoustic therapy. And I'll give you an example. I call it the multivitamin approach. So if Pure VAT is a single frequency and vibroacoustic with music has many frequencies, right? Some of which will be triggering the transducers, some of which will be heard on headphones or speakers. Um, so if you think about, you go to the doctor and you've been told that you're deficient in vitamin D, right? Will you go and get a good vitamin D supplement and take it regularly? Or will you go get a multivitamin that has vitamin D and hope for the best? Right? It might still be helpful, probably will still be helpful because there will be some good things in it, but it might not be exactly what you need in that moment. So, PureVac can be a much more targeted approach, addressing symptoms specifically and resonating with certain parts of the body to restore their natural resonance.
That is so fascinating. So can you tell me what a session would be like when someone comes in?
Mhm. So we do a detailed intake process and then decide. Now, usually when somebody books a session with me, they've already decided on the approach as far as pure VAT session. Are they dealing with acute stress? Are they dealing with insomnia, chronic pain, digestive problems? And they want to take a more targeted approach. And then we'll set up a treatment plan from there. Vibroacoustic with music tends to be a little bit more generalized, more along the lines of relaxation or stress reduction therapy. So either way, I do a detailed intake. I also do a voice analysis with the vibroacoustic with music side. Um, so detailed intake and making sure that person is settled in to the session, they have some idea what to expect, and that I've gone through contraindications with them. There are people who should not be receiving vibroacoustic therapy. Someone with active thrombosis, heart problems, prolapsed vertebrae, recent stroke, or whiplash, first trimester pregnancy. There's a number of them that shouldn't be, which bears the question of all the equipment that's coming on the market. Anyone can buy that, and anyone can get it home and set it up, but they may not tell you about the contraindications. Now, I hope as we go along, I would suspect that more manufacturers are getting on board and providing some more literature or sending people to us, for certification. I would also make sure that they're hydrated, right? Because we know that sound moves through the body 5 times faster through water than it does the air. So make sure that they're hydrated before they get onto the table. In my studio, it's a massage table that I have outfitted with 4 transducers underneath, and I tuck them in all cozy and comfortable. And then they'll have an eye mask. I find that's nicer for helping people go deeper. And then because I come from a sound therapy and a music background, I do short sound bath at the beginning to help them get relaxed. We do some breath work exercises, some tense release exercises, body awareness, body scan sometimes. And when I think they're ready in that sweet spot, sometimes I hear tummies gurgling, then I go ahead and start the track and I walk out. Vibroacoustic therapy is a very less is more therapy. We really want to lull that person's nervous system into that nice relaxation response and maybe even, dip down into theta and have some real nice visions or just go right into delta and have a sleep, have a good rest. So once the track is finished, I come back gently, wake them up, bring them back around, see how their experience was, and then I sit with them for a few minutes until I make sure they're steady to go, and we discuss how they're feeling. If I've done Pure Vat, I also will have done measurements before and after, right? I might have taken stress measurements or range of motion, pain levels, that kind of thing.
And how do you find it helps with pain levels too? The vibration, I would assume, would relax tight muscles and things like that. It will certainly contribute to some kinds of pain.
It sure does. It's fantastic for pain management.
Okay.
There's a few different ways that works. One of the things is there's a pressure wave that's created by the low frequency, and it makes pressure on the Pacinian corpuscles under the skin and creates a neural inhibition of pain. So that's one of the ways.
Ah, that
Another
makes
way
sense.
is actually a lot like deep tissue. So it does go in and relax certain muscles, allowing muscle tension to release. And, it's much shorter. You don't have to go for a 90-minute. There's no, dressing, undressing. There's no oil. It's much simpler. It's also a really great therapy for people who are not um, wanting to be touched too much. Not everybody loves a massage. So it's great therapy for that. You're fully clothed, it's much shorter appointment, and very similar result.
Fabulous. And so the recording of the vibroacoustic therapy, if it's a pure tone, would just be about 20 minutes. I think it was 20 minutes you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, there's a sweet spot around 22, 23 minutes
Okay.
in the body. Sometimes longer tracks can create overstimulation.
Hmm.
There's a sort of a therapeutic, there's a plateau there that you don't want to go over. Now, that's not to say that someone would never be on the table for longer, because sometimes they are, or I love to leave them for a few minutes after the track stops, because there's that real sweet still point that they're in. And the body um, is integrating what just happened. I think when we get the body into that healing response, it knows what to do. Jeffrey Thompson calls it the inner physician, right? Let's get out of the way, give the body what it needs to relax and go into repair.
Hmm.
Setting intention around that too
Hmm.
with the client. We don't just tumble in and hope for the best. What are we here for? What are we working on? What kind of goal do you want to have here? What kind of result? Vibroacoustic therapy is cumulative also. So I have clients that come every week. And the more they stay in that weekly, the better they feel over time, not just physically, but emotionally. They just get happier. I've one client who has been coming all through a really tough phase in her life, big change in her life. And she has told me that she does not know how she wouldn't have got through it without the vibroacoustic therapy. She's doing some other great things for herself, but she credited the vibroacoustic therapy for helping keeping her really calm, level, and sleeping well. That's the other thing. The big benefit is good sleep. Pure tends to be only used by practitioners. You and I both know that if we're in a sound healing session with somebody, we're going to get a more profound result when we're held in session by a practitioner, right? That person has looked after the details. Our whole nervous system can just take a vacation because we know someone's holding space for us. So it's not likely that people would do Pure Vat at home unless they're a practitioner and they have the tracks.
Can you tell us a little more about the equipment? Because started to mention the transducers and a chair and a massage table. What
Mhm.
kinds of equipment are available for this therapy?
Yeah, there's quite a range. You can spend all the way from $200 on a small piece, a cushion or a belt, to as much as you want. I've been on a table that was $18,000 US. We have an equipment page on our vibroacoustictherapy.com website that highlights a whole bunch of the equipment manufacturers with links to their site. So if anybody's curious, that's a good place to go have a look at, the wide range of equipment that's out there. The reason I feel strongly about PureVat is that we are in a world that's 24/7. We are, many of us, in overwhelm, we're overstimulated, we're watching for what's happening next, right? A lot of people still haven't come down off the COVID wall. We need to give people opportunities to breathe, slow down, and remember what it feels like to feel really calm and really at peace in the body. And PureVat does that. It's such an elegant, deep listening exercise that I just don't think there's anything like it. It's truly a less is more therapy. No other therapies are done at the same time as PureVat. It stands alone, although you can do things before and after. So
Mhm.
I do a sound bath. I have them do voice work after. You can do movement or massage or Reiki or red light or essential oils or whatever your therapy is before or after. Now, that's also really great in clinic settings. I deal with wellness clinic owners all the time. I tell you, 2025 is the rise of the wellness clinic. There are so many popping up, and they're including sound therapy, vibroacoustic therapy, red
Fabulous.
light, infrared, cryo, just all kinds of really great stuff. And the vibroacoustic therapy for someone who's in a more traditional um, or formal medical setting would be that if they have a procedure they're going to do that the patient might be nervous about, put them on the table first. Give them a vibroacoustic session first, because everything that comes after that will work better.
Yeah, that's for sure. Make a huge difference. So there's an enormous opportunity to bring this therapy into a lot of different communities.
There
And it's
sure is.
already starting to make that way, it sounds like. Wow.
In Canada too. There's only a handful of certified vibroacoustic therapists in Canada. I am one of them. There's a fair number in the US, but for population, there's, how many people can one person help? So we definitely need more vibroacoustic therapists in general, but in Canada for sure, it's wide open. There's
And
there's yeah, a lot of ways. Massage therapists love coming to this work too because it's so easy on the body compared to a career in massage therapy.
right, right. And such a wonderful complement to so many different modalities. It sounds like from what you're saying.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a great addition for sound workers also.
Hmm.
Have a sound healing business and they're doing, maybe sessions in person or maybe they get out to do sound baths. It's a great addition because just with that one thing, you can offer a number of different types of sessions.
How does this help with those with autism?
Yeah, you can create a calm, safe space with vibroacoustic therapy for those with autism. Often they have a lot of movement and are easily overstimulated. So again, the Pure Vat, it's a less is more, right? You have that single frequency just going underneath them. You can use familiar music with people with autism if that helps them, right? Feel more calm. And then from there, the therapy is going to do the benefit. It's going to increase circulation in their body. They're going to get more oxygenation. Maybe it's going to help their sleep or help them with some pain they're having in their body.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And she had another one. Would it help with carpal tunnel in is releasing the nerves calming? Any case studies on that? Interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen any papers on carpal tunnel yet. So we go with what we know when it comes to vibroacoustic therapy. And if you think about what it does, so it relaxes, it releases muscle tension, it can reduce inflammation. So when you look at carpal tunnel or anything else, you say, well, are any of those things underlying those symptoms, right? And certainly the pain management. Mhm.
And how fascinating that to have very specific frequencies that'll really support some challenging conditions.
Yeah. Also migraines, there's a specific frequency for
Mm.
menstrual problems.
Oh,
And
that's
you know,
another one.
these are not magic frequencies. These are researched and they correlate with parts of the body that respond to that frequency. So we can really isolate things like, low back pain or neck and shoulder with specific frequencies. We're not having to guess or believe. You in sound healing too, we think about all these other frequency sets that we hear about,
Mm,
right?
mhm,
Chakra frequencies and solfeggio and all these things, and some of which are rooted in varying measures of science or belief or both, right? And I have this question all the time when it comes to tuning forks too.
me
People say,
too.
"Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure you do. Oh, well, does this frequency do this?" And I say, "Well, what do you think? What have you found? Yeah. What is true for you? Is it true for you? It's either A, enough to just believe it because someone said it, or maybe you research it and that feels right for you, or maybe you experience it and you know for yourself, or maybe it's all of those things. you
Mhm,
know you go with what's right for you,
mm.
and then now you're putting, as Jonathan Goldman says, right? Frequency plus intention equals healing.
I love that formula.
Yeah, so now you're taking that 174 hertz or whatever it is that you want to work with, or the chakra free, or whatever you want to work with, and you're taking that. And I tell people, I'm like, go get good at that. you know Learn more about it if that's what you want to do, and go get good at it, and now put your intention behind it every time you use it with a client
Mhm.
or for yourself.
Advice.
We got to also look after ourselves. I don't know about you, but I do sound therapy every day. I go on my table every day.
Me too, actually. One thing or another, because I
Mhm.
have all these babies behind me here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as practitioners, too, I believe in the buddy system. I believe in having a sound buddy who can do tuning fork therapy on me or bowls or whatever, because we know all this great stuff and we have some great tools, but sometimes we get left out of the equation. So,
Don't we
so
ever?
get a sound buddy. That's my advice.
I
I got
love love that, Narissa.
yeah.
There's looks like she has some more questions. Any case studies on childhood trauma releases causing tension in the body?
Um, Not that I can think of right off the top. And when you're dealing with a potential trauma release, you want to make sure that as a practitioner, you're ready to handle what comes up, and that you have someone that you can call if it's too much, or someone that you might refer that person to if it becomes too much. We tend to also in vibroacoustic therapy consider previous psychosis a contraindication,
Hmm.
because many therapists, unless you're trained as a psychologist, are not prepared to handle someone who has a psychotic break.
Hmm.
So very careful about that.
Yeah, because I'm sure the vibration will release a lot of emotional energy held in the
It
tissues
does. And
too.
sometimes
Absolutely.
too, it causes physical movement in the body. Like sometimes even when I'm on the table, I'll get just like a little movement in a limb, or I'll just feel some energy move somewhere. Well,
Hmm.
that's great. But, one day it could be more than that. It could be maybe a muscle spasm, or an emotional release of some level.
Hmm.
So as practitioners, we want to be prepared for that, and know when to say no to someone who's wanting treatment also, if it really doesn't fit with regards to contraindications, or you don't think you can keep that person safe, then it's okay to say no, or not right now, or refer them to someone else, or
Hmm.
suggest some other kind of therapy.
That's
Mhm.
great advice. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. We will say again, thank you. Oh my gosh, what a vault of information you shared with us today. So much value here, and really opportunity too, which is wonderful to see, and such great service for so many people.
I
So,
think so too, Sharon. And I think you and I are similar in that we feel very on purpose
yes.
with helping people help more people because the world needs it. You
Hmm.
know, we can help people to get back into that balanced place and get them back out of stress mode so they can make great decisions for themselves, for their family, for their communities, for their province, their country, right? Mhm.
And as we complete, that was such a great statement. Is there anything else you want to add as a final statement?
No, I feel complete. I'm happy to answer any questions. If anybody wants to contact me, I'm happy to do that and learn more about the training.
Awesome. Sounds
Mhm.
wonderful.
Thank
So
you so much, Sharon.
thank you so much. It's been such a delight, Narissa.
My pleasure.